Day 1 of vibe coding looks like this. You open a chat, describe your idea, get some code, paste it into a file, open it in the browser. Blank screen or an error. This kills hours. Every time you copy the response, find the right file, paste it in, check the result. Half a day, 5 tries, still nothing. It's not a bad prompt. The code itself might be fine. The problem is there's no environment where it can actually run, and no proper tool that works with your project files directly. Today we fixed that once. After this, it just works every day. This is lesson 3 of the course on launching SaaS and web applications from scratch. Last time we chose a programming language, links to all lessons in the description. Today we set up the environment. After this video, you have everything you need to start building your product right now. 3 tools, quick to install, but there's one step after installation that most people skip. That step is why the AI assistant doesn't understand the project and writes code you have to redo. My name is Eugene. I've been in development for over 20 years, and this is lesson 3 of the series. Today we install only what's actually needed. No extra tools, no unnecessary services. Just what you need right now to start building. Before we dive in, drop a comment. Has this ever happened to you? You copied code from a chat, pasted it into a file, opened it in the browser, and nothing worked? If yes, type yes. If you haven't gotten there yet, type no. This video has 4 parts. We start with the local server. That's the foundation. Nothing runs without it. Then we install the framework. It speeds up development and gives the AI assistant context about your project from the very first task. Then the editor with the AI assistant will install Cursor, set up Claude Code, look at 3 task modes, how to manage context, and how to pick the right model. This directly affects what you get from the AI. And the last part, the work cycle. How I assign tasks every day, what I do after each one, and how to make sure the AI always understands your project instead of starting from scratch each time. Let's start with the local web server. First, let me explain why you need one at all. A web application isn't a single file. It's a folder with dozens of files. Code, page templates, styles, scripts, config files, and so on. All of that needs to live somewhere. You have the project folder on disk. All the files are in it. A web server runs alongside it and executes them. The AI assistant works directly with those files, reads them, edits them, creates new ones. You open a browser and see the result immediately. That's what a local server is for. In the last lesson, we walked through the chain. Nginx accepts the request, passes it to PHP, PHP goes to the database, and returns the page. In production, that chain runs on a server on the internet. For development, you need the same chain on your own computer. Instead of assembling it piece by piece, you can use ready-made packages. They install the web server, the programming language, and the database in one installer. You pick what you need, run it, and everything works. No manual wiring required. There are many of these local environment applications, a few good ones. WAMP is free, but Windows only. I've used it for years, works well. MAMP is originally for macOS, but there's a Windows version too. The free tier is quite limited though. Servbay runs on both Windows and macOS. The free version supports up to 5 sites. These packages usually include a few extra conveniences. Virtual host setup. Instead of opening your site as localhost, 8.8u, you set a clean local domain like myproject.local. They also come with database tools, PHP MyAdmin, pgadmin, and similar. A visual interface where you can open the database, see what's in it, edit data without writing raw queries. Both MySQL and PostgreSQL are typically supported. For this course, we'll use MySQL, but if you prefer PostgreSQL, there's no practical difference. Frameworks work the same with both. In these videos, I'll be using Servbay. Go to servbay.com, link in the description, download the version for your operating system, run the installer, choose where to install and wait for it to finish. Open the application, set your site domain, something like myproject.local. Choose PHP as your language, pick the latest stable version. Now open the browser and type myproject.local. You'll see the server is running. A page appeared. The project folder was created on disk automatically. The path is shown on that page. To confirm everything is set up correctly, create a file called index.php in that folder. Add one line, php echo hello. Refresh the browser and you'll see the text on the page. That means PHP is working and the server is serving from your folder. Local environment is ready. One thing to note, write down the MySQL password that gets set during configuration. Servbay shows it in the database section. Default is username root and your password. You'll need it later when installing the framework. Subscribe now. The next lesson is about architecture. Without it, the AI writes code without understanding your project every single time. Leave a like up front. If the video turns out useless, you can take it back at the end. Now we need to put our project in that folder. You could start from scratch, but we won't, because there's a ready starting point. In this series, we work with OneShot. It's a PHP framework I built to launch SaaS projects faster. Here's the core idea. When you build any SaaS, a significant chunk of time goes not to your actual product idea, but to the same baseline things that are identical in every project. User registration and authentication, personal dashboard, subscriptions and payments, resource usage tracking within plans, admin panel, base code structure, routing setup, and so on. That's work I've done dozens of times already. In OneShot, it's all built in. You start and immediately work on what makes your product different, instead of rebuilding the same boilerplate from scratch that every project needs anyway. There's also an AI-specific advantage. Standard frameworks were built for humans. When you work with an AI assistant, it doesn't know the conventions of your specific project. It writes correct code, but for some abstract application, not yours. In OneShot, the entire architecture is stored directly in the repository as files that the AI reads and uses to fit right into the structure without rewrites. I use it for my own projects. The code is open. You can use it for yours too. All my work is on GitHub for free, so you don't start from scratch. Link in the description. Go to GitHub. There are several branches. Check which one is current for this video. Dev or main is the primary version. Download the zip archive, unpack it into the site folder you created in Servbay, then run the installer. It sets up the database and base configuration. Open the browser, confirm it's working. Starting point is ready. Link to the repository in the description. Local server is running. Now you need an editor, an IDE. This is where you open and edit the project files. A few popular options. VS Code is a free editor from Microsoft, industry standard for the past several years, with a massive plugin ecosystem. Cursor is an AI-first editor, the most popular among people who work with AI and code. Others include Windsurf and AnySphere from Google. Here's the thing. All three, Cursor, Windsurf, and AnySphere, are forks of VS Code. They take VS Code as the base and add their own features on top. The interface looks very similar. Most plugins are the same. Behavior is nearly identical. If you've used VS Code before, you'll feel right at home in Cursor. Nothing to relearn. I use Cursor. It's the most convenient right now, the most widely used, and it integrates well with external assistants. Get it at cursor.com. Paid Cursor plans? We don't need them. Here's why. The editor itself doesn't write the code. The code is written by Claude Code from Anthropic, Codex from OpenAI, or Gemini from Google. Cursor, Windsurf, and AnySphere are editors that use the APIs of these services and resell their tokens. That means lower limits and higher prices. So instead, pay the providers directly. Get a subscription to Claude Code at Anthropic. Cursor stays on the free tier. We only need it as an editor for working with files, not as an AI assistant. Now let's install the AI assistant. This is where a lot of people get stuck at the very start, so let's go through it properly. There are a few AI coding assistants to choose from. The three main ones are Claude Code from Anthropic, Codex from OpenAI, and Gemini from Google. They all work the same way in principle. The AI works directly with your project files, reads and edits them, runs commands. Minimum plan at each is around $20 a month. There are also other models, Qwen, DeepSeek, and similar. Code quality is noticeably lower. Very few real products are built on them. Free tiers exist at the same providers, but the models are weaker and run slower. In practice, what Claude produces in a minute, a free model might take 3, 5, or 10 minutes for. When you're sending tasks back to back, that adds up fast. Hours waiting instead of 15 minutes of actual work. There's no point using a tool that's slow and produces worse results. I work with Claude Code. As of today, it writes the most accurate code for specific tasks. If something changes over time, switching is easy since all three tools work on the same principle. To install on macOS and Linux, one command in the terminal, you'll see the right command when you visit the site. For Windows, the command is slightly different. Copy it, run it in the terminal. On Windows, you'll need to install Git first. Download it from the official site. After that, run the Claude command in the terminal. That launches the assistant directly. For the extension, go to the extension section in Cursor and find Claude Code. Make sure the publisher is Anthropic with the site anthropic.com. The plugin will add Claude as a panel inside the editor. Launch it from the three-dot menu. Open Claude Code. Launch Claude Code. We'll be working through the extension. It's more comfortable. All commands, options, and modes are accessible from a drop-down. No manual typing required. Some functions aren't available in extension mode. When that happens, the app will prompt you to switch to the terminal. Those functions won't come up for a while, and we'll deal with them when they do. You'll need a Claude AI account with an active plan. First launch will ask you to sign in. Click the login button. The browser opens Claude.ai. Authorize, confirm access, done. If you're already logged in your browser, it confirms automatically in a few seconds. Pricing, we'll come back to it shortly. There are nuances worth knowing upfront. Everything's installed. When you first start working with Claude Code, your instinct is to craft prompts. Try different wordings, find the right way to explain a task. Read articles about prompting techniques. I did that too for the first few months. Then through practice, I realized most problems with the output weren't about the prompts. The problem was that the AI didn't understand what project it was working on. It wrote correct code, but for some abstract app, not mine. The moment I wrote a proper file describing the architecture, code quality jumped dramatically. Not a new model, not a different AI, not a clever prompt, just project context. That file is called CLAUDE.md. So the very first thing you do in any new project, run initialization. In extension mode, you do this through the menu. Open Claude Code, select the init command. In the terminal, it's Claude init. In the extension, all commands go through the interface without typing them manually. This is the first step in any new project. No exceptions. What happens at that moment? Claude Code reads your project structure, files, folders, dependencies, and creates CLAUDE.md in the root. This is the instruction file for the AI. What the project is, how it's organized, what language it's written in, what framework is used, what rules to follow when writing code. In the OneShot framework, there's already a template for this file. You use it as is, just update it as the project evolves. Claude Code has no memory between sessions. Every time you open a new chat, the assistant starts from zero. It doesn't know what it did yesterday, what project this is, or what stack you're using. When CLAUDE.md exists, it reads that file at startup and immediately understands the project context. The generated file can and should be edited manually. Add everything that matters, your architecture specifics, what's already built, how you want the code to look. The more precisely CLAUDE.md describes your project, the more accurately it will understand tasks. What exactly to put in this file will become clear after the next video on architecture. That's where we break down what a web application is made of. Link to all lessons in the description. After each significant task, update CLAUDE.md. Easy way to do it. When Claude finishes a task, ask it to update CLAUDE.md to reflect what was done. It suggests the changes. You review, approve, or add to them. No manual writing needed. One request at the end of each task. After CLAUDE.md is set up, a few more things to cover. How to manage context, which model to pick, and which task mode to use. Every language model has a context window. The amount of text it holds in memory at once. Everything counts toward it. Your prompt, the conversation history, files it read, code it wrote. When the context fills up, the model starts forgetting the beginning of the conversation, and quality drops. Default context window is 200,000 tokens. There's an option to expand to 1 million, but that costs extra. For now, stay within the standard 200K. Conditions may change over time, and the window may grow. 3 commands for managing context. The context command shows how much context is used right now and how much is left. The clear command wipes the context entirely, like starting a fresh chat from zero, forgetting everything in the session. The compact command compresses the chat history, keeps what it considers important, removes the rest. Here's the catch with compact. The AI decides what's important, and it doesn't always get that right. Context you consider necessary might get dropped. Better approach? Watch your context and break tasks into small enough pieces that each one can be handled in a single run without hitting the limit. Tools improve over time, and post-compaction quality is getting better. Model selection. Switch through the menu. Switch model. 3 options. Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. Haiku. I don't use it for writing code. Practically nothing useful came out of it for that purpose. It's used internally by Claude Code itself for simple helper tasks, scanning files, reading existing code, that kind of thing. For real code writing, it's not the right tool. Sonnet is the main model. Faster, handles large amounts of code per session, uses fewer tokens. I'm on it most of the time. As you get better at formulating tasks and checking results, Sonnet handles more and more. Small and medium tasks, it covers reliably. The more precise the task, the more code Sonnet writes correctly, and the less budget it uses. Opus is for complex tasks, slower, costs more, but handles vague or architecturally complex tasks better. For beginners, it often makes sense to start with Opus if you're still figuring out how to phrase tasks precisely. It'll pull through where Sonnet might get confused. In practice, I've often found Opus wasn't needed at all, but that comes with experience. Test both and see what works for your situation. Last thing in this block, task modes. How Claude actually executes your request. There are 3. Plan mode. Claude first writes a plan, what it's going to do, without touching a single file. You read the plan, confirm or adjust right in the chat. Then it executes. For large tasks, this is required. Otherwise, you risk getting an implementation going in completely the wrong direction. Auto-edit makes all changes on its own without asking for confirmation. Good for small, clear tasks. Confirm before edit. Before touching any file, Claude shows what it's about to change and waits for your approval. Best for sensitive changes or when you want to control every step. One more thing, model reasoning. When you send a task, before doing anything, Claude works through it internally. What was asked, what needs to happen, how to implement it. This reasoning process is visible in the interface. I recommend watching it, especially at the start. If Claude misunderstood something, you can see it before it starts editing files. At that point, press escape, stop the execution, add a clarification in the chat, and restart. That's much better than rolling back changes afterward. Now let's talk about pricing, because it matters practically from day one. Claude Code runs on a subscription. The starter plan is $20 a month, billed monthly. For getting started with development, that's more than enough. For Sonnet. For Opus, it usually runs out. For serious work with heavy code volume, the plans are $100 to $200. There's also a per token option, paying by actual volume of text processed. Avoid it. It always ends up significantly more expensive. Within the subscription, there are session limits, a 5-hour session limit, and a weekly volume cap. The usage command shows the current state, how much you've used in this session, and how much is left. Limits change periodically. Anthropic updates the terms. If you hit the limit and need to keep going, you can switch to another account. End the current session, log in with different credentials, and continue. Useful if you're working in a team or running several projects in parallel. Now for the most practical part, how to actually work with tasks, because you can know all these tools and still waste time. Let me show you how this all works on a real project, not a tutorial example, but OneShot. This is my framework, something I'm actively building so people can launch their own SaaS products faster. I use it myself. The code is open. You can use it for your projects too. Our task? Add a content module. This is a universal module for managing all text content on the site. Pages, posts, categories, tags. Pages and posts are essentially the same entity. The only difference is the display template. One module handles the blog, service pages like terms, privacy, legal, and so on. Documentation. Anything text-based lives here. In the admin panel, it gives you a full content editor with visual editing, support for headings, quotes, images, YouTube embeds, and other services. This is a large task. Multiple entity types, complex data, database, routing. So I start with plan mode. Here's the prompt I paste into the chat. I briefly describe what I need. A universal module for editing text content, posts, pages, categories, tags. Then I add notes. These should be unified entities, not separate database tables. I specify what the admin panel should include. Editing and creating pages, which fields to expose, title, URL, preview, status, categories, active, inactive, and so on. I include a note about categories and tags needing their own metafields for SEO. I describe the available templates, regular page or blog layout, and explain what differentiates them. Posts have content on the left, and categories or tags on the right. Pages have a menu on the left, and content on the right. I specify which editor to use and what plugins to add. I describe category nesting and how URLs should be formed. I explain routing priority. Content module routing should fire after all other modules have run, and I add a DB optimization note. Fewer queries is better. I send it. I watch the reasoning, how Claude breaks down the task, reads the structure, checks its understanding. Looks good. I wait for the plan. Claude writes out the file structure it wants to create, the database tables, suggests visual editor options. All of it matches the structure of the other modules, because it read up front how things are organized here. I add a few corrections where needed. Wait for the updated plan. When I'm satisfied, I tell it to proceed and switch to auto-execute mode. I watch as Claude writes. Since I've seen many of these sessions and understand the framework architecture, I can tell what it handles well and what it might fumble. It moves fast. The better the plan was thought through up front, the faster the execution. When it's done, I open the browser and check. Loaded some test pages, terms page opens, nested page opens. Privacy policy works. Additional post I created also opens. Done. If something had gone wrong, I'd copy the error text from the browser or the logs and paste it into the chat as a new message. No explanation, just the error text. Claude reads it and knows what to fix. I also write in the chat what I want changed. Since all errors in the framework are displayed in a way that immediately shows where to look, the feedback loop is fast. Task complete. I ask Claude to update the development rules. It suggests what to add. I review and approve. For the next unrelated task, I start in a new window with the clear command, or a new chat, and repeat. Here's the finished content module. This is what building a real project looks like. Not a demo for a video, not just a landing page, but working functionality that drops directly into a production architecture. No secret prompts, just structure. The framework has architecture. The AI knows that architecture. New features get added cleanly and fast. That's the idea behind OneShot. Not just a starter template, but a framework where context lets the AI write code that fits in on the first try. OneShot is actively developed. It's open. Everything we build in these videos, including this content module, is available in the repository. You can download and use it in your own projects. Link in the description. If you want to build your own SaaS with the same approach and don't want to spend weeks figuring it all out alone, I help. I design the architecture, go through tasks together, work with people in the community, contacts in the description. The environment is ready, local server is running, editor installed. Claude Code installed. We understand how to assign tasks, how to read the plan, and what this looks like on a real project. This isn't theory anymore. You can start your own project with this. Next video, web application architecture. How code is organized internally. That directly affects how you formulate tasks and how accurately the AI understands them. Last question. Drop your idea in the comments. A name or a few words about your project. I'll reply to everyone.